invite lots of people of Bahrain to visit us here in Scotland to see this very old castle that was built in 1360, and they'd be very welcome.
Okay, so welcome to Duart Castle for about 800. So there's been a castle here for about 800 years, but we suspect there would have been some sort of fort or a watchtower or something earlier then, stretching back potentially centuries. Now, the Macleans first lived here in the 1360s, but the first family to build this place were called the MacDougals. You're another powerful clan. Unfortunately, they lost this place and many of their other castles, all due to the fact that they supported a man called John Comyn, and at the time his sort of big rival for the throne of Scotland was a man named Robert the Bruce. And of course Robert the Bruce won, and one of his first acts was declare all the people he supported, the other claimants, traitors and enemies, had their castles seized, including this one here at Duart. It swapped a few hands and then ended up in the pockets of the Clan Maclean in about 1360. Now, the first things the Maclean chief did when they came here is they built this building here. They built the keep, the blockhouse of Duart Castle, rising about three stories above the rock of Duart itself. The name Duart, by the way, comes from Gaelic, 2 words, Duart, which means black rock, black heights. And so the reason why they built this was for 2 reasons. One, to be as impressive, as imposing, as prestigious and awe-inspiring as they could possibly make it, as well as providing as much protection from attack. So that's why it is perched right on top of the cliff. It guards the whole island, all the sea approaches around the Isle of Mull, and you have views about 100 miles from the top. Not only that, but you also have the walls facing us here, so the ones where you're most likely to get cannons and catapults and God knows what bombarding you is about 3 meters thick. Couple that with a well underneath the castle. You could not ask for a better place to start a sea kingdom, which is what the Macleans did, occupying most of the parts of southern Scotland and the islands until about 1600. Unfortunately, during that time, they made an enemy of another clan called the Campbells of Argyll, and they were a very dangerous clan to be on the wrong side of. And in 1691, we ended up losing this castle to the Campbells. And after a brief stay with the British Army, after the Battle of Culloden, this place was abandoned, left to sort of rot away and crumble away into the sea. All up until the year 1910, where the current chief's great-grandfather, a man named Sir Fitzroy Maclean, put every pound, shilling and pence he could find into turning this place back into how you see it today. So a good way to sort of frame the castle is it is a sort of gentleman's sort of 1910 state-of-the-art family home that just happens to be inside a blood-soaked, foreboding, intimidating Highland Scottish fortress.